coming in between.
Thank you.
Take a picture with Javier. Javier does this. A nice pizza, yeah? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Excuse me, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, can you hear me? Yes. So good morning, and thank you for the invitation. I'm going to, let's say, go on with the topic that Xavier was reporting, showing you other way on how we can design product service system through the use of modeling. Who I am? I'm Giuditta Pezzotta. I'm associate professor at the University of Bergamo, and my research area is about product service system, servitization, and in general modeling and simulation in the operation field. I don't know if some of you knows about Bergamo. Bergamo is a small village, right? Once. It's a small village, it's a small city close to Milano. I mean, it's not that small because we are more than 1 million people, and is the Ryanair airport, biggest Ryanair airport in Italy, so you are welcome. It's quite easy to be reached. We are a medium-sized university with almost 21,000 students on the free level of education. Within the university, I work at the self-service engineering lab. Is a lab where we mainly work in the area of product service system, maintenance, servitization, and logistics and operation in general. Here I have reported some of the projects we have worked on. Obviously, we have CoDEMO here, and the previous project we had together, and on which we have developed some of the tools I'm going to show you, and which was the theoretical base, let's say, of CoDEMO. So it was the 4.0 CoDEMO version. So, as also Xavier was reporting, why today it's so relevant to speak about product service system and servitization? Because it's definitely one of the main trends that we can find in manufacturing, and in manufacturing mainly related to the digital transformation. So in the last years, we have seen a big trend in manufacturing that has started to use digital tools to enlarge their offering, mainly adding service to the product. So this is something that we have saw quite in general in manufacturing, and somehow is also one of the biggest trends that is still pushing towards the manufacturing transformation. This is due to many reasons, and most of them are also related on how our society has been changed along the years. So we are now more used to share our house through platforms. We are used to share, use car sharing, bike sharing. We have no problem in using devices and on using services along all the day, without, in many cases, without no even understanding that we are probably using a product service system. And then on the other side, as also Xavier was reporting, about the transformation of our product from, let's say, poor product to smart connected product, and today in system of system, where my product is connected and sharing information, data, actors, value with a lot of other systems. In this perspective, the main trends we are let's say managing, and we need to manage are servitization, digitalization, and obviously everything related to sustainability. I'm going fast because Xavier already reported a lot of this concept, so I don't want to focus again on this. And as Xavier was reporting, the result of a mix of these trends is definitely the provision of different kinds of product service system. So in some cases, we still add just service. The most typical one in manufacturing is maintenance, from corrective maintenance to predictive maintenance. We are adding assistance. Let's think about how many chatbots we can find related as a support to our product. Every time we have an issue with our printer, we go on the manufacturing website and we try to find answer, and sometimes we have a chatbot assisting us in trying to find the answer. So we have a lot of services, but also in addition to these services which are added on the product that help the customer to solve problems, we have some integrated version. So as Xavier was reporting, use and result oriented, where the solution, the value we get is a combination of what is the use of the product and the kind of value the product and the service can provide us. The concept of servitization is not that common in all the manufacturing fields. We have quite evolved sector like printing. Most of the company, they don't own the printing machines. They just pay by contract, a use-oriented service. So I just pay the number of copy. We have quite an evolution in transport and solar, but there are other businesses that are arriving towards a mature shape of servitization. So as you can see, it's a trend that covers many kind of fields. And so this kind of the tools we are showing can really apply to different kind of application, both, let's say, in to complex product, but also to more easy product. So it's not just a matter of product, it's a matter, as we were saying, about the value and the business model we would like to give. The last evolution of the servitization, which probably, if some of you works in the software environment, knows probably quite well, is related to the concept of as a service. So we know about software as a service. The same kind of concept is reaching manufacturing with the concept of everything as a service. So we, through the use of platform, we can, let's say, sell solution, our product, on the same way we sell the software. The difference is that the product is tangible, the software is not tangible, but so in the terms that we have a contract with a monthly fee, which is defined by the concept of value. So this new trend is changing completely the way on how manufacturing company should design their solution, and also in how they define the cost and the value and the price of their solution. Because we change the concept of CapEx, so capital expenditure, and OpEx, operating cost. Because it's not working as we are normally used to work when we produce our car. Okay, so the dynamics change quite a lot. We have a lot of benefit for the companies moving in this direction, as we already reported about economic, competitive, environmental element. But we need to be, let's say, quite clear and say that most of the company are in the beginning of their transformation. They are not yet, let's say, servitized. So they are not perceiving or are not able yet to offer complex service based on the use of digital technologies. Most of them are just, let's say, offering few services, maintenance, warranties, spare parts in a traditional way. So they are not able to use technology to enhance their business model and to be more competitive. And one of the main reasons is that they are really good in develop their product. They have huge of experience in design product, in using tools for product design, not the same when it comes to service. Here you have some data that could be interesting. When we go and try to figure out how companies are trying to use technology to enhance their service offering, we discovered that we have, let's say, this is a survey we have conducted 2 years ago at European level. What we discovered was, okay, 50% of the company are moving towards digital services, which is not that bad. But through the use only of some specific technology. And as you can see, the most relevant one is Internet of Things. So the idea is to provide mainly service related to maintenance and the monitoring of our product to support a better assistance during the life cycle. And obviously, with Internet of Things, we have cybersecurity and cloud computing following, because we need this technology to support our solution. There are other kinds of technology coming up. So definitely we have digital twin, mixed reality is up and down, and obviously in the last year, artificial intelligence, which is, let's say, the most tool that is under evaluation. And so we will see a lot of application in the next few years. So how artificial intelligence can support the delivery of product service system. If we go a little bit more in detail of IoT, we basically realize what I was telling you before. IoT is used to collect data, mainly to work in terms of predictive maintenance. So the kind of effort companies are doing in terms of servitization is more still related to provide traditional service in a better way, more intelligent. And only few of them are really changing the business model towards use and result oriented, because as also Xavier was saying, there are a lot of risks and a lot of barriers to move towards that direction. One of these barriers, this is the result of the survey we have conducted, is still related to the design. So the company, they don't have proper way on how to use data to design services. So they don't have the knowledge they know how to collect data, but they don't know how to properly use the data to support decision along the design of a service. And this also is reflected by the fact that they are not really able to use the knowledge they collect, they acquire, and there are no metrics. So there are no really tools that support the decision-making of the companies when they decide to move towards servitization. They have these kind of tools in product development, but not that still not like that in product service system. So we still have a problem. And we need, and we try, as also Xavier was showing you with research, to try to support companies in overcome this problem. So how we can better design a service? A service is a process. So we need modeling at the end of the day. So a way on how we can really support companies is to give them knowledge in order to manage something which is completely intangible. Service is intangible by definition, is one of the characteristics, And if I need to manage something which is intangible, it's really hard. How I can transform intangibility to something tangible? Service is a process. So the best way we have thought, not just us, but in general, researcher in this kind of field, is to use modeling. So use modeling to support all the design along the life cycle of my solution. The research on this topic is not new. It started in 1999, but still, company still a step behind. We have a lot of companies that are still missing this kind of knowledge, and we need, as a researcher, to try to overcome this gap. Obviously, in the last year, we moved from traditional services to a new version of service where we have technology, and this has accelerated the process of the company to look into what a service is and how to include services in their offering. You see, this is the trend of servitization publication in the last years. We have a big trend because this is what at least for me, coming from the manufacturing background, working a lot with manufacturing companies, the research I'm doing is an applied research. This is what companies are asking. Support us during the transformation. We have strong engineers, really good with product. Our product are able to do whatever I want. I can change the product based on all the customer requests, but I don't know how to properly define a service. So starting from this, a lot of research have worked in different directions, as we were reporting before. So on design, on transformation, on how to assess properly, on how to manage the knowledge, and obviously about sustainability. But still, if we look into the main research stream, this is a research, I skipped the reference, of last year, of a colleague, you can understand how and where there is a big gap. We still miss methodologies, we still miss data-driven decision-making tools, we still miss methodology for design, we still miss digital twins, we still miss everything related to data collection, monitoring real time, we still miss a process model, we still miss how to evaluate performance. And I mean, from all these words, you can understand how much modeling could be an answer. One of the issues that most of the service people working in industry, they don't know anything about modeling because they are a really good technician, able to do maintenance mainly on the machine, so to solve a hard problem on the machine, but they don't know how to structure services in order to answer to customer needs. This is why we still have a lot of problem, and research in this field is still quite relevant. What we need to put together is competence, obviously coming from the engineering world, and competence that can, let's say, support us in models the intangible element of services. That's why we defined this framework. In 2016, this framework was developed with ABB. ABB started its servitization process in 2010, 2012, almost. So we worked quite a lot with them in order to support their transformation. 2 years ago, we defined also a sim tool version within the ADOX platform. So all the tools we are going to see are also available in the platform and are reported in the second version of a book, right? So how this process works. So basically, we are working at operational level, okay? So just we are not at high level of a decision, but we need to design. We need to define a process, a service, a solution that could be really put in place. So what and where we are starting? So basically, we start from the customer. So we need a way on how to model our customer, because we need to have a clear understanding of the value and to whom we want to provide this value. Once we know who is the customer and we have a clear idea that can be shared between all the designers in our team, we can start to generate idea and to identify how to select this idea. And then we start to model. First of all, we model from a customer point of view. And then, as a company, we need to understand how to answer to what my customer is looking for. So which kind of process I want to put in place to deliver a service which is aligned with customer expectation. And at the end, we need to validate through prototyping and assessing in general. So we need to be sure that our idea is working in our environment with the resources we have or we would like to have. And the kind of output I can achieve is in line with my expectation. So along the presentation, but also in the book, we use the case of two companies. One is ABB. The name is evident because we have a lot of publication with their scientists with us, so it's not definitely a secret. And another company, which we cannot mention, which is an Italian company of producing automation system for residential use. So the automation system that control the opening and close of the doors and garage and gates. You can find all the description in the second volume of the book. So let's start with the persona. Any of you knows about persona modeling? Okay, perfect. So what's persona modeling is, let's say, is a really, I think, and from my perspective, an effective way on how we can describe our customer, the persona we have in front of us. So the idea behind is that if we have a clear understanding and we can give a name and some element describing my customer, which is quite general, it gets easier to work together in order to solve the problem. So if I know that I need to solve and create a service to support Mary, it's easier than to think about customer A. So it's a way on how I put together and try to clustering my customer based on their needs. So one of the main points for us is that the use of persona model should be based not on the characteristics, which are somehow relevant, but on the needs. We defined a methodology, a quantitative methodology to support the development of this persona. Could be done also through brainstorming. But in our case, what we have done was to define this methodology that was focused on defining persona with the same needs. So we have defined, in this case, was ABB, a specific kind of business. We interview people and we collect a long list of needs. We define a survey, and on the survey we ask to the customer to prioritize needs. And based on the needs, basically we define this analysis and we have clustered persona. We arrived, in this case, we have done in different business, but in this case, to these three persona. which are representative of the kind of customer, let's say, we want to serve. As you can see, this is quite relevant. They don't really have really strong different needs, just by reading. But for the manager, this element was really relevant because the kind of service they have and to provide to these three personas are completely different. Because in this case, obviously, let's say, human interaction is really important, while in this case, for example, it doesn't make any sense. So in this case, I can work remotely. I can give remote support. In this case, no. I need people to be there. I need people interacting, create confidence, create collaboration. So the kind of service I can design are completely different. The kind of technology I need to put in place are completely different. We have the possibility on the same tool to create and have my persona. And this knowledge is really important to be maintained because the persona can change along the time, but no, even not. I can keep my persona updated and use them along the time to design my services. Second step, idea generation. We start from the concept of value. So value as the ratio between benefit and expenditure, or function and cost. So what I can give to my customer on how much does it cost. Through this concept, we define this way on how to model my thought, and we call product service concept tree. And the idea is to put together some element of functional design, which comes from engineering, and something about design thinking. So the idea is through a brainstorming session, starting from the needs. So I have the needs from my persona, define the wish, because needs are, we have seen, are really high level. The wish explain how the customer wants the company to satisfy their needs. And then I start with a solution, how the company can define product service solution to answer to what my customer wants. In this situation, what I need to do is really a brainstorming, where I can really go through all my ideas. And then I start to think, okay, but what I really need to deliver such a kind of solution? Do I need new resources? Do I need technologies? Do I need new environments? This is an example. We have also the opportunity in ADOX to create this concept tree. This is the example of company A. You see, we have our customer, Giovanni. He has two needs. One is easiness, and the second one is reliability. And obviously, what he's looking for is looking for something, let's say, with high mean time between failure. The fact that the solution is compliance with the law. And then you can identify all possible kind of solution. In this phase, the objective is really to be creative, because starting from this, within always the tool, we have the possibility to assess it. So to evaluate through a long list of categories, if my solution, which kind of value can my solution provide? So to have this high-level assessment with, let's say, an internal evaluation, and then we can export our assessment and start to think about where I want to focus my time, money, whatever I need in order to develop my solution. We have selected the solution, right? So, or the solutions, it depends. And now we start to create the service. We use, first of all, the customer journey map. The customer journey map has the objective to describe the service through the customer eyes. So the idea is to map my process. I always have Giovanni, and to identify what Giovanni is expecting from the company in terms of experience. So it's a process where I have some activity performed by the customer, some activity performed by the different actors of my process. So I can define my model with all the details, and also through the platform, let's say, a representation that can support also the visual understanding of what is happening. You can use also the Chain2 model to create this kind of configuration, specifically if you don't really have any idea of how the customer could experience. So you can create a different chain in order to properly evaluate the experience. And then you go on process modeling. What does it mean to go on process modeling? It means that basically I need to create my process. So through the use of service blueprinting as a reference and BPMN as a nomenclature, we are able to assess exactly and define exactly what the different actors along the different phases are performing. As you can see, we model the customer. This normally starts from the customer journey. So the first things I do is, okay, I've created a customer journey, and me as a company I have the aim to answer to my customer through the journey. So I start to create a process able to answer to customer needs. Does always works? No. In many cases, it doesn't work. So I need somehow to change also my customer journey. So it's an iterative process, because sometimes I don't have competence, I don't have the organization to support some request of a customer. And so I need to change also the way on how my customer will experience my service. So I create my model. This is how I design my service. In the beginning, we said the service is a process. So if I want to give a shape, the only way I have is to use modeling. Honestly, I don't know any other way on how to design a service. And in this case, I can take a lot of decision on who is carry on the specific activity, in which phase, if it's seen by the customer, if it's not seen by the customer, because if the interaction is done face-to-face or is only virtual, and everything that I can carry on. How complex is this sort of modeling in a real environment? This, in the next slide, I'm showing you just the maintenance processes, let's say, of a company. This is how it is described. This is just one part of a service offering, only referred to 5 kinds of maintenance they are offering. Because obviously you have a lot of activities preparing the service, scheduling the people, performing the logistics behind, and you have a huge quantity of interaction. This part is really complex to be created in a company. They don't have modeling competencies, and most of the time I cannot say they don't know how the process works, but they do the process. They don't have knowledge, exhaustive knowledge of what is happening in all the steps. Or the people, they know exactly their specific part of a process, but they don't have an understanding of the overall idea. As you can see here, we have some, let's say, different colors along the process, because these are related to some big building blocks of the process. Is it possible to, let's say, standardize some elements to allow people to design faster the process? This is one of the, let's say, things that as a researcher, a lot of people are working on. So to work in terms of standardization, so to use modeling, also to standardize some activities, but I was not able to do it. So I hope that someone of you can have maybe some more idea to work on it. But I mean, the process is really complex. And modeling really is a really huge tool that has helped the company to, have a clear understanding of the knowledge already in place and to decide how to move. This process was, let's say, defined starting with the consideration that they want to add a new service to their offering. So we had to change a lot of decision, a lot of responsibility, because in their servitization strategy, they wanted to move from traditional maintenance to contract-based maintenance. So we had to change a lot of elements in order to be able to support the company in this transformation. But this is a static picture. We don't have data. We were saying in the beginning, these help you in designing, but we need obviously to work on it. As I was saying, we have worked in order to define some modules. We have also published them, but we still need to work more in terms of standardization, to use modeling really to support the design and the decision-making of a company. Last step is about validation. We need to distinguish two elements when we want to validate our product service system. Normally, we use simulation. So since our service is a process, the best way we have identified in order to assess if our design is working and also to prototype service that not all the time are delivered in a physical place. Because as you can imagine, when I need to, for example, in maintenance happened in a huge, in many different places, okay, with different resources coming in, and most of the time I don't even need to understand the physical environment, it's more relevant to the process. So we decide to focus our attention on simulation, while in the last years we are also working on analytical solution. What we have done with the simulation, so basically we have tried to use simulation to assess and to define and evaluate our design and also the business model behind the design. You know that we have different paradigms of simulation: agent-based, system dynamics, and discrete event simulation. We started by using discrete event simulation, considering the concept is a process, I simulate it as a process. So this is also available in a preliminary version in edX. We used other tools, more complex tools, to simulate. This is the same process we have seen modeled before. If it starts, perché non va? 1 second, let's see like this. Okay. So it's exactly the same process. So here we have defined the service offering and the evolution of the service offering along the time. Because obviously, if we need to support company in a transformation, we need to figure out how the introduction of new service is going to impact on the performance of also the other service. So we have evaluated. This is an add-on of Vision as a simulator, because since we were working with the company and we had to use their own the simulation that obviously they have in-house, while we normally use other kind of simulator. So we replicate all the process and we start to collect a huge quantity of data. This is what also Professor Xavier was saying. It always makes sense to create this huge assessment for all the services. Always, the answer is depends. In this case, since the transformation they were looking for was quite relevant in terms of number, in terms of organization, yes. So we have defined different scenarios to assess how, considering different trends and different forecasts in terms of service evolution, the process was reacting, and also to identify the best configuration in terms of resources. Also because we have used this simulator in different kind of, in different countries, with some different organization and obviously different kind of customer. So we have, as you can see, it requires really a huge quantity of time to define everything and collect everything. But obviously it has a big, in this case you can also define how different activity can change in terms of time, the different resources. So you can really define quite a lot of scenarios that can be tested, also considering the kind of solution you want to assess. And you see the different colors? No, probably. No, yes, here, yes. The different colors represent the different kind of services. So we have a process on which you have different kind of services. So the same people, this is what happened in the company, they have to manage different kind of services. The customer is asking sometimes one service, sometimes something else. So the process should assess that if I want to add a new service, so if I design a new service, this service in most of a manufacturing company won't live alone. It must be managed by people that are working in and with other services, are asked by the same customer, and so I need really to be sure that I have everything in place. In this case, one of the elements we were evaluating was a specific service level agreement in terms of time. So in, I don't remember, 24 hours, they want to, the technician be on the shop floor of the customer. So with these kind of tools, I can understand how many resources exactly I need to be sure that in 95%, 99, 98, it depends about my service level agreement, in how many times I want to respect the contract. So I can obviously really assess my, my service. Where we are moving on, so we have done already some experimentation, is just to move from pure discrete simulation to hybrid modeling. So to put together discrete event simulation and agent-based modeling, considering different elements. So we have customer. So we have customer with different attitudes. So not all the customers are acting in the same way. We have different persona. So if I want really to understand how my process is able to react to some specific needs and some specific way of acting along the process, the customer is part of my process in a service environment. I can use an agent that can reflect the decision-making process of my customer. We have done an experimentation in fashion renting, where basically, I mean, as a customer, I get into a shop, and obviously, if I have some specific, tomorrow I have a wedding, I will for sure find something. If I'm renting a dress just to try, I have a different decision model behind me, okay? So considering the different decision model of my customer, I can assess how my process is reacting. The same way with a machine. The machines, I have different machines, and they work in a different way. They have different failure probability, they have different times on how much I can restore them. I have different ways on how the machine acts along the process. They are actors of my process and influence the performance of my process. So we are trying to mixing these two perspectives in order to have a better understanding of the behavior of my customer and the behavior of all the agents that could be included in my services, because they really affect the results I can achieve. And in the design phase, I cannot skip that. I cannot not consider the fact that I have a big plethora of different customers, different actors involved in my service. In the last few years, have tried also to use easier, let's say, tools, because I mean, a simulation, it works really good when you have a lot of data and a lot of time, because it requires a lot of effort, and most of the times the company, they don't have this kind of time and effort. So we move back to analytics tool, and we are working on using total cost of ownership, and which is not something really new, but to assess different business models, considering a lot of actors in the network. So what we are doing is to use total cost of ownership to create different scenarios based, for example, in this case, we had to let's say, assess the difference between normal maintenance and a contract based on preventive maintenance with different level of reliability, and to figure out if this was convenient or not for the customer, to push the customer to go through contract-based services, which is, if everything goes fine, is not convenient, but in most of the situation seems that it's even convenient for the customer. So these kind of tools in assessing a new scenario can, let's say, support also an understanding how much, how I can sell this solution to the customer, and can support the company, say, if it makes sense to create this kind of service or no. And to do this, but I don't have a proper result yet to be shown, we are also implementing system dynamics, so to use TCO within simulation. But it's still, using simulation for companies is always complex, so they need an Excel spreadsheet to input some data and do calculation. But I'm at the conclusion. I was ready this time. So we still need a lot of research on the topic, and I hope that some of you is going to maybe in their research in their future to go closer to this kind of research. Multidisciplinary, even more about technology, modeling, design. We still have a big need of ontologies on this, which we are working on, but we are not yet reached the reference models and ontologies and data. So I also have the slide for CoDEMO, so I'm prepared. So this is the project we are working on, and on which some concepts are also related to which kind of skill do we need in order to implement this concept in manufacturing companies, because this is one of the main difficulties we still have. And that's it. This is my contact. This is my main conference hall. So if you want to join. It's in Bergamo. It's the conference hall of Bergamo. When? No, it's just the picture.
It's just a picture.
It's just the picture. But in 2028, right?
Promotion, right?
In 2028. I'm in the line.
2028, I am.
No, professor. 2028 in the conference hall.
2028, I will be there, and I will push you to go to the innovation camp. Because the Digitalised innovation camp, yeah, and you see in this picture, don't forget it.
But always 9 o'clock is 9 o'clock.
Always 9 o'clock is 9 o'clock. Yeah?
I will try.
Okay, question. Please.
So I have a different perspective. So from the context of environment and all, and in this era of service innovation, where in the digital ecosystem the services are so much. We may see the example of clothing company. They are shutting down the physical shops and they are coming online. You can order 3 clothes, try, and then the package will come and go. So how you can balance the user needs, because every company is focusing to satisfy the user needs, because we are living in capitalist world, so we have to just think about the profit, and every company is doing so. So how can you balance the sustainability and user needs in the context of service innovation?
Thank you for the question, because it's really a hard question to be answered. So when we have done the experimentation in fashion renting, so that basically the idea is to move from fast fashion to a new paradigm. So I don't need to buy a dress that I just dress once to go to a wedding, but I can rent. So the business idea is like this. Then we said, okay, let's try to assess the environmental impact, because at the end of the day, you have to go there, buy the clothes, dress it, bring back the clothes. The clothes is going to be clean, sterilized, and these things is not done in the shop, but in a big center where all the clothes from the different shops goes. Is really more sustainable. I mean, the result we had is that at the end of the day, there are situations where moving towards service is really more sustainable, and situations where it's not. And what you were explaining about how much some services can even get worse, because if I provide this service online, so I can try go back. Yes, in this case, is not sustainable. There are research on the boundary effect, also related to securitization, because by definition, the principle on which product service system born is to be sustainable, because I move from tangible to intangible. But at the end of the day, I have doubt. This is one of the reasons also why a lot of research, also in assessing, I didn't report anything here, is also to assess the environmental impact of the transformation on some business model. We are working always with ABB about how to assess their service offering from an environmental point of view, to try to figure out if really at the end of the day, moving towards services is also the right answer, not just to increase revenue, but also to at least contain CO2 emissions or any kind of parameters. I agree with you that even if in the beginning the push was even towards sustainability, now we are not sure anymore. But you know, the competition with the company and how we need to change also the customer habits is difficult. One of example, I was more shocked. I don't know how to call in English, in monopattino, the things we use sharing, the scooter. Okay, conceptually, it's really sustainable to have a scooter managed in a renting, because I don't need to buy. So instead of having 15 scooters, we can have 2 free. But the life cycle of this scooter, when rented, is basically 5 days. So even if the business model goes towards sustainability, how it is used, how much it is, let's say, not properly used, is affecting. So you have 2 parts. One is the provider point of view that maybe is moving towards sustainability, and on the other side, also how the customer at the end of the day use the service. I don't know if I answered you.
We have the break. Before we close, I'd like to ask something, because it's very important, not you, but for us. Who of you have been once in your life, because you are young, in a real production hall? To see, no, higher. Out of 58 students, I could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you don't count your professor, 6, 7. Javier, we have to do something.
Yeah.
At least at the days in which we present something like that, we have to show a video what is a production hall. Because these guys, they are social media guys.
Or organize a video,
A visit.
No, visit.
No.
No visit. Don't give me work.
But to Xavier.
Your professor home can organize visits to see that. Therefore, the next time, that is what I recognize these 10 years. You know, I recognize that sometimes you talk about ABB, but they don't have no idea what's going on in such production hall as yesterday you saw people. Okay. So Gita, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you like to understand the physical system and the new world, you have to visit